9:16 on the morning show with Jeff and Will. We are back on this fine Monday morning with our final guest for this morning. Last but certainly never least is Tina Traster from the Rockland County Business Journal. Good morning, Tina. How are you this morning?
I am fine. Good morning, Rockland County. How is everybody out there in Rockland land?
Cold.
I know. It's kind of like we're frozen in time and frozen in place. It's a strange thing, isn't it?
You could say that. Yeah, there's certainly a lot going on, though. Regardless of the weather, we're never short of something to talk about. and first of which, I know you've probably got some stories you'd like to talk about, but I did want to ask you. We've got a news story that's been running at the top of the hour every hour on our local news. I'm sure you've heard about the shooting that happened over in Clarksdale at the. I'm sorry, what was it? Clarkstown. Excuse me. Did I say Clarksdale?
But that has a nice ring to it.
Clarksdale.
I'm gonna start a petition to change the name. I like that.
Thank you. Clarkstown. Ugh, what's going on in my brain this morning? Anyway, in Clarkstown, at this place that was being rented out at an Airbnb, I suppose these kids from Brooklyn came up, held a party, and then some more showed up and started shooting at the house. Fortunately, all suspects were detained and are currently awaiting their trials and days in court and things of that nature. But it has become a huge question on everyone's mind. We talked about it with George Homan earlier about the regulations when it comes to renting out properties as Airbnbs and things of that nature. And George Homan seems to feel that, you know, he wants to at least prevent what he feels like might be happening, which is turning Clarkstown into, quote, a hotel or anything of the sort.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of an overstatement, and I think I'm going to take the old he said she said on this one, because I think that if, first of all, okay, a few things here. One, let's start more globally. This is one of these one-off situations that become a catalyst to talk about things, and they do not in any way represent a trend or something that we see very often. That's number one. Number two, coming at this from a more bird's-eye point of view, that is, anything that Rockland County can do to actually lift itself up as a tourist destination to support the local businesses is in essence a good thing. There are communities all over the country. I'm sure that you have stayed in a VRBO or an Airbnb somewhere along the way. I know I have. And these can be generally very good for the economy. The key is, here's the key. The key is that the regulations around Airbnb should not be nebulous. They should not be kind of under the radar. It shouldn't be something where it's kind of like maybe a wink, wink, nod, nod, or you know, it should be a very clear policy. There should be some way that it can work, especially if it is above board, if it's in the daylight. You know, it's the same thing in Nyack. I did a story about this not that long ago. There are Airbnbs in Nyack, but it's always uncertain what the actual rules are. But, you know, people, if they want to come up to Rockland County, you know, what they largely have available to them are the, you know, largely, you know, the flag hotels, the general chain hotels. If you want to come up here and you want to stay in something that's more intimate, if you want the Airbnb experience in Rockland, I don't think it's in our interest as a county to discourage this. I did an Airbnb story not that long ago, although it probably was a long time ago, and it just feels like it wasn't. But it was within the last, 5-6 months. And I remember that I went on Airbnb and I found, I believe, at least 60 properties around the county that were listed. But I can assure you that if you went town by town and supervisor by supervisor, that would probably come as a surprise to the supervisors and the mayors of the villages, because again, I'm going to repeat, I think that we, as a county or town by town, we haven't created good and open policy around this, but I certainly don't think that we should foreclose on Airbnb. It's an industry. It's a moneymaker. It's a catalyst for local businesses. And, it's very easy to take this one incident in Clarkstown, which, yeah, I mean, that's an ugly incident, that's for sure. But it's very easy to take that and then define Airbnb, by that incident. I think that's a big mistake.
Mm-hmm. And for those of you just tuning in, just so that no one was hurt, thankfully, during that situation as well. But yeah, I suppose you've got a point there. And also, in your newsletter, you talked about a defamation lawsuit that's coming up soon.
Okay, this is really something. So let's put our legal eagles on now. You know that hankering you get, like when somebody has made your life miserable, and you just want to take to social media and you just want to destroy them.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Don't. The lesson of this story, is think twice. Because if you think that you're hiding behind an avatar on social media, the part of that sentence that you may find is not true is that there is the ability to hide. There's a complicated defamation lawsuit that has been filed in the Rockland County courts that serves as a warning that posting anonymously is not necessarily anonymous. And here's the key, that the social media companies can be compelled, as they have been in this case, to reveal who the poster is. So this lawsuit that was filed in Rockland County Supreme Court by Lance Weinstein, which is a name that will be familiar to probably many in Suffern and maybe beyond, alleged that an anonymous poster created accounts on Twitter, YouTube, and Strikingly that were designed to, as the lawsuit says, to target and damage his reputation. And the content included accusations that Weinstein, who's a former Suffern police officer, had been arrested for both arson and domestic conflict, that he had claimed to be a former Navy SEAL when he wasn't, that he was an animal abuser. It was a dedicated campaign that involved over 69 tweets and hundreds of YouTube videos that characterized Weinstein in these very negative ways, and according to the lawsuit, caused him, quote, emotional distress and damage to his reputation and standing in the community, and prevented him from finding employment and business opportunities. So when he went to file suit, he didn't have proof as to who it was. He had an idea, I guess, because he knew who his enemy was. But anyway, he didn't know who it was. It was the postings were all anonymous, and he retained a local attorney, Donald Fierick, who we know from some other cases, and the court compelled. There's a legal mechanism called pre-action disclosure, and that allowed Weinstein to sue Twitter, YouTube, and Strikingly to basically reveal who the poster was. So in his ruling, Judge Zugabe said that Weinstein had a sound claim for the defamation and the information he was seeking from the social media companies, and that it was material and necessary to pursue the claim. So that's a fancy way of saying that the judge here in Rockland compelled Google, which owns YouTube and Twitter and Strikingly, to hand over the account holder of these posts. So that account holder turned out to be, and this is where the story just gets so bizarre. It turned out to be a gentleman named Andrew Dale. And Andrew Dale and Weinstein grew up together in Suffern. They were friends. They were neighbors. Their children played together. They had some sort of an altercation over some accusation about Weinstein trying to prevent Dale's father from getting some sort of a contract with solar paneling. Anyway, it turns out that the search revealed that that Andrew Dale used a Gmail address to register and create phony usernames, according to the lawsuit. And that this is really interesting. Dale runs a company called Mad Partners, and this company is an online marketing company in Muncie and Montvale, New Jersey, that specializes in organic optimization and, listen to this, online reputation management. So
Interesting.
yeah, it just this, you can't make this stuff up. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose in a weird, twisted sort of sense, you could admire his dedication.
Obsession.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little much.
Well, this went on for a very long time. I think over the course of a year, and the interesting thing is that that Dale, his defense is not, I didn't do this. The claims, he claims that the postings, quote, are not defamatory and that they are the truth. So he's going with the and then this is interesting, and that his speech is protected by First Amendment. Mm-hmm. So I think this is going to be a very interesting case to watch if it goes to trial. If it settles, we might not know how it all worked out, but it just philosophically, I mean, we've all probably or wanted to say something on Facebook, and many of us find the restraint, some of us don't. I mean, you can see the ugliness on Facebook, but I guess it's the difference between, throwing out one ugly comment versus making a campaign of it. Mm-hmm. And I think that people do this, and they think that they're anonymous, and they think that they're hiding, or in this case, I guess they think that the truth will set them free. That if in fact what Dale said about Weinstein, that perhaps that's his ticket out.
Well, thank you for letting me know. I'll throw out that essay I had on Jeff on my burner Facebook account, so that doesn't happen again. Yeah,
you do that, because it's not worth it. Once the legal system is in your hair, your life is a nightmare. So
yeah, that whole
and this is a crazy story, because these two know each other. They're neighbors. They work. I think they were on the same police force at one point.
Oh, wow.
I mean, these are basically two people. Their kids used to play together. I mean, this isn't even like somebody who had there's so much that goes on with people being doxxed and people being taken down because someone's got a political motive, and you see that. I mean, I've been the target of that. You see the ugliness out there. But these are two people who knew each other, and I guess. Even if these claims are true, just to go out there with this is
is illegal.
Well, this is why we're going to watch this story, because that impulse to take to social media and say whatever it is we happen to think. May not always be the greatest idea in the world.
Yeah, probably not. If you got a couple minutes left, because I know we're close to time for your segment, we did have a caller that asked about your opinion on the sale of the Suffern property, Novardo, I think he called it?
Novartis, yeah, Novartis.
Novartis.
That's another. There's what we see is that there's a lot of property in play right now. Including the Novartis building, and that is a huge complex. There is pent-up demand. I don't. This is a post-pandemic thing, but there's pent-up demand, or an ongoing pandemic thing. There's pent-up demand for warehousing. We've got a lot of empty space here in the county. We wrote a piece last week about. Jamie Schwartz, we did a profile on him. He's the new person who's been installed at the former IRG campus. That's the former Pfizer campus, okay, like the Novartis campus. And there's people should check out that piece. He talks about his vision. It's been rebranded to be called iCampus, HV iCampus, and. Again, he steering the new direction of that. Also sees the need for warehousing. For Suffern, Brookfield is the Novartis buyer. It's Suffern's largest taxpayer. I think we're going to be looking at a lot of storage and warehousing in the county. I think is right now is the takeaway. Is that's where the pent-up demand is. It's the last mile. It's the Amazon, the FedEx, the UPS. Everything gets delivered to our door, yesterday. So you need large spaces, and I guess that's how we're going to repurpose some of these campuses here in the county. So that's interesting.
Indeed it is. And to find more interesting stories like this pertaining to Rockland business, you can visit her website, the Rockland County Business website, rcbiz, that's B-I-Z, journal.com, rcbizjournal.com, and sign up for the newsletter, most certainly. Thank you so much, Tina Traster, for joining us as you do this time every week on a Monday morning, and we will talk to you next week, if not before then.
Sounds good. Have a great week, you guys.
You as well.
Bye.